Welcome to the Clutch Buckets Podcast. My name is Josh Tyson.
I'm Kyle Spence.
Their profession, our passion, your court. Check ball.
Check ball
Let's roll.
indeed, Tyson. We just watched one of the best game sevens in recent history with the Nuggets versus the Timberwolves, Minnesota pulling it out, winning game seven, advancing to the Western Conference Finals, winning that game 98-90 with the largest historic comeback in the play-by-play era, going down, coming back from 20 points. I want to hear all of your thoughts because this is your team.
Man, let's talk about it, man. So I was too scared. I was too nervous to watch the actual game, man. But I would check in from time to time. And of course, most of the game, Denver Nuggets were up. I was like, oh man, it's gonna be rough. I watched the entirety of the game, man, afterwards.
Mm,
And man, when I tell you, man, so first, of course, it didn't feel like the Timberwolves were coming out, man, with much vigor at all, man. It was that
right.
energy wasn't there. It seems, man, like they were second guessing everything. Anthony Edwards was second guessing his shot. The flow wasn't good. The way they were moving the ball around wasn't good. Like they were nervous with the passing, nervous to throw it in to the inside. Um, but man, that second half, I don't know what the coach told him going into that second half, but the confidence just soared. On defense, what happened in the first half? I mean, Murray was straight dominated, man. Murray in the first quarter, I mean, he had 24 points in the first half, but they
Hmm.
kept coming off screens. Him and Jokic, of course, their screen game is the best in the NBA. Every time Murray came off a screen, the defense would go over the top. Whoever was following him would go over the top. And then the big man wouldn't come all the way to the middle because he was scared of
Hmm.
Jokic,
Yeah.
rolling. So Murray was able to get to the basket easy almost every time. That second half, the guy from the weak side will pull every time. So he would have to
Mhm.
push it out. And as we know, man, throughout this game, the others, everybody except Murray and Jokic were struggling,
Struggling.
absolutely struggling. I mean, Porter had four, had five. Um, what's his name? Gordon had four. I mean, absolutely struggling, man. What you think?
Man, I have to give it all credit to the Minnesota Timberwolves
Ooh.
because I thought that, like when we sometimes think about the game, we're like, did Denver lose it or Minnesota
Mm,
win it?
mm, mm.
Minnesota Timberwolves absolutely won this game because they focused in on their defense, where I feel as though that's their bread and butter. I'm going to
Man,
talk about a key to the game that I don't think anyone has talked about. Everyone has
let's
talked
bring it.
about Nas Reed. Everyone has even talked about my man Mike Conley.
Yep,
Rudy Gobert. I gotta call it. I have to
man,
say it.
bro.
Now,
Let's
this
talk
is
about it.
a far,
Come on now.
far different. It's a staunch contrast to me days and weeks ago because I really felt as though Rudy Gobert wasn't living up to his defensive prowess, but he was a plus 10 in this game. He was 7 for 9 from the free throw line. He was and like just annoying in the post, in the paint. He was getting his hand on the loose balls. He was fighting over everything. He was putting his hand, he was active.
Yeah,
And that
yeah.
active
He
hand that he
was. He
had in this
was.
game was, I truly believe, was one of the most pivotal things that made this work. Of course, Anthony Evers talked about when he saw that Rudy Gobert hit that fall
Yeah.
fadeaway
He was like,
jumper
that's it
with the
right there. That
timer
gave
going down.
everybody
It's like, oh yeah,
confidence.
right, we have a chance. We might actually win this game.
If he hit
But
that, we straight.
because we ain't never seen that. Like, let's be
No,
clear. I didn't even know
no.
Rudy
A
Gobert
turnaround
knew how to shoot a
fadeaway?
jump shot. Like,
Fadeaway?
come on, stop. With 4 seconds on the clock, and you have a big
Man,
man in
don't even do
Jokic on
flows.
you. So I really felt as though the Timberwolves really hung their hat on the defensive
Yeah.
end, just really active, not just popping out and show they're going to trap you and they're going to try and force you to give up the
Yeah.
ball. They're reading the right passes.
Hmm.
Sometimes they're telegraphing passes on the Nugget side, so they're able to pick those. They're they're just active. They were poking the ball away. They were really physical, and the refs. felt as though they were trying to push it Nuggets way. I'm gonna
Man, did
be
you see that,
honest.
man? Especially
It
on the
was,
Caldwell Pope one, man.
yeah,
When
like,
Edwards went
come
to the
on.
basket, he tried to foul the man.
Yes. And
I
he
mean, took out
missed.
his whole arm. And the
Yep.
refs look at him like, oh, what you mean? That was clean. Like,
Yeah.
what? And
They
then
missed the call because I don't know why. You know how they talk
the
about
ref
NBA
was right.
scripts, quote unquote.
The ref was right there, Kyle. But what my problem with that is, okay, cool. If we're doing that, evenly
Do
across
it
the board, that's
everywhere.
cool. But the next time they came down the court, they called a weak screen foul.
Yep.
Like, come on, man. Like, y'all just come on.
It happens. Now, I will say that on the Denver side of things, they lost the game with the lack of help from their bench.
It was
Like you
terrible.
said earlier, there were single digits scoring from the main starters. But
Hmm.
then when you go to the bench and you only have Christian Braun scoring, I think, 5 points for the entirety of the
Of
bench.
the bench.
Of the Reggie Jackson, I don't know where they're going to put him next year because he's
Man, you would
not
think he
good
would
for
show
this
up
team.
somehow. Mercy.
He's not good for this team. I like him as a person, but his gameplay is lackluster, and that's an understatement.
But
I
really, he only really thrives when Jordan is out there. Like him and
Yes,
Jordan on
yes,
the
he
pick
and
and
DeAndre
roll.
Jordan. That's right.
I mean, it's nasty. Like they come up with some highlights, but other than that, man, he's not contributing. I mean, if he's not contributing on offense, it's not like he's a lockdown defender. So,
Certainly not on defense.
mm-mm,
So here's my fear, Tyson. We're gonna go to predictions much later on,
mm.
but the Minnesota Timberwolves are athletic,
Come on,
they're
man.
hungry,
They
they're
want it,
big, they're
man.
defensive, and they actually are physical. They're a physical team
All
with an
right.
offensive prowess in having Anthony Edwards out there day in and day night and day in and day out. I'm concerned who they're going to play when we get to the East because
Mm.
I'm starting to have some feelings about if and when the Timberwolves get to the finals.
This man nervous
But I
already.
don't want to I don't want to talk any further about that right now because I don't
What?
need to be that nervous right
I
now.
feel you, man. It's tough all around, man, because with their length, man, they have mismatches everywhere. And that's what they took advantage of on the second half. If you notice, man,
Yes.
they kept going to Anthony Edwards. Anthony
Hmm.
Edwards, I love how aggressive he was this game. Every time he got there, every time he was against the little man, he was taking it from the
Yeah.
three-point line all the way down to the nobody was seeing him because the
Yeah.
mismatches were there. I love, and this was the highlight and the key to the game. And this is what Edwards has been trying to install into Anthony, into Cat the whole time. It's like, yo, we need you out there, so we need you to stop fouling because nobody can stop you really on that end. You have a mismatch basically every time. And if you notice that second half, who was it who took over? It was Cat and Nas Reed because they
Yeah.
had mismatches.
Hmm.
They had mismatches. I
I
mean, and
thought the Anthony Edwards, he didn't shoot well, obviously, but his
no,
impact was so pivotal. He was like plus 11 because
yeah,
he was shooting like 25%
it was rough.
from field
It was
goal,
rough.
and then he's shooting 20% from three.
Yeah,
But he
he
knew
still
that
had
if he
that
continued
confidence.
to be dominant,
Hmm.
you heard in the audio mic'd up segment where he said basically, look, I need you to knock those down
Yeah,
because when you knock those down, I'll be able to, the floor is going to open up
double
because they're
team
going to
won't
have to
come as it.
respect your shot.
Hmm.
But when I'm coming downhill, I'm going to draw the double. And we saw it several times throughout the game where he
Hmm.
drew the double, kicked it out to Jaden McDaniels
Yeah,
or
and he
Alexander
was hitting that
Ortiz.
thing too.
And McDaniels was knocking them down. He was three
Hmm.
for four in that game. So they were shooting really, really well.
Yeah,
And the
man.
attempts, even if they're not going to actually hit the shot, the attempts at it with not Alexander Ortiz, Alexander Walker, even when they made the attempts to shoot, they knew that, hey, this play can actually work because we have a slow big man in that of Jokic. We have no other real bigs on the Nuggets team to
Hmm.
really try and defend and block. So I thought that they were playing it really well offensively,
Yeah,
just trying to pass out of the doubles, pass, drive, and then kick. I felt as though that was their main focus this game,
yeah.
and I
And you see
loved
how
it.
you see how fluid it was, especially that second half, because it looked janky, man, that first half. It looked like they really didn't know what they wanted to do, what play they
Mhm,
were running. I mean, it was tough to watch. But that second half, man, how that ball moved
mhm.
exposed all the mismatches out there, man. And like I said, it got Edwards off of a double team too. But man, I loved it all around because uh even like Jokic said in the interview afterwards, he was like, man, this team was built to beat us.
Right.
And it really was, man, all around. Because if you notice, they kept them. This is their sixth game keeping the Nuggets up under 100 points. That's
Yes,
tough to
that is
do,
tough.
especially for a Nuggets team that deep and to hold it because they're pushing out Gordon off the boards. He wasn't
Mhm.
getting any clean looks, man.
No,
I don't think he got a dunk all game.
no.
But they were built for that, man. That I mean, all round length. You see, like you said, physicality. They were all up on the ball, pushing everybody out the hole, man. Every time they came off on the screen, it's switching off screens, making sure that pass doesn't go to the inside. You can pass it back outside, but
Mhm.
you're not getting it on the inside, man. They were
No.
dominant on the inside.
Yeah. So do you think that the Nuggets lost the game or lost the game or Minnesota won the game? Because I know
Timberwolves
I
took
answered
that.
for myself. They took it.
Timberwolves took that, man. And like Coach Malone said in his interview, he was like, yo, I mean, the whole burden was on Murray and Jokic. Somebody else got to show up.
Mhm.
Somebody else got to show up, and they locked down the others. They absolutely locked. They made sure this was not going to be a high assist game for
Yeah.
Jokic, Murray. Or we're going okay. We might let one or two go and get it, but no, we're not going to let y'all first dominate in the paint or get any easy lobs, and that's their bread and butter, man.
Well, shout out to the Minnesota Timberwolves for actually making it back to the conference in
Man,
2004. So it has been
Phew.
a long time
Long time
coming.
coming, man. You talking about since
And
the Garnett days. That's
hey,
tough.
well deserved.
Yeah,
You
man.
know who
Shout out.
also was well deserved? The Boston Celtics advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals as they
Man.
finally close out the series with
And
the Cleveland Cavaliers
you were worried.
113 to 98. This is our third straight Eastern Conference Finals entry. And I really felt as though they did well. So let me talk about it real quick. I'm gonna kick it to you, Tyson, of
Nah,
course.
man, you go ahead.
Now,
Hold the
you
floor,
were
man.
absolutely right. Tyson said in the last episode that, hey, Al is going to have a big game. And I was like, Al ain't been playing well
Go
whatsoever,
ahead. I can't do
defensively
for
or
y'all.
offensively. But look at Big Al with 22 points. I felt as though he had 15 rebounds. He was 6 of 13 from the three-point line. He was a plus 26 on our
Dominating,
squad.
man.
He was the best plus minus on our team. He had big game, 8 for 15 from the field goal. And I felt as though he was the absolute key to the
He
game,
was.
point blank, period.
He
Point
saved
blank, period.
everything for this game, man. That's why he couldn't do nothing for y'all. The other games, man, he had to show out when it really counted. Close out game,
Well,
man.
shout out to him because I felt as though if it wasn't for him, we could have been in some hot water because all of
Man,
a sudden Morris
showed out.
Sr. Mook out there just giving us all the buckets. I think he had like
Like
22 or
20,
25
he had
points for the
25
game.
points, man.
It's ridiculous. So they always find that next man up. Evan
They
Mobley,
do.
of course, he high buckets. He had 33, but I
Yeah.
think quite a few of them started to be in garbage time. But
Hmm.
the Cleveland Cavaliers were a valiant opponent as far as the
Hmm.
East is concerned. It's already a weak conference, and this is who we had to play. Donovan Mitchell was out along with Karis LeVert and
Hmm.
Jarrett Allen. Wasn't going to make a difference in my mind personally. The Boston Celtics were going to win this series,
Hmm.
but to actually have it done 4-1, just as they did with the Miami Heat in the first season series matchup, I
Hmm.
felt as though we're on the right track where Jason Tatum played decently. Jaylen Brown played well.
Yeah.
We have actually help off the bench and Peyton Pritchard and Luke Cornett, who
Right. They
had
be
to
coming
step up
through.
big time. And then, of course, my man Sam Hauser, who is a sniper out there from three.
My best
We're
3-point
able to
shooters.
have this kind of cohesiveness now in preparation for the upcoming Eastern Conference Finals, absent
Hmm.
of Porzingis, who is absent right now, possibly for the first two games
Yeah.
of the playoff
Hmm.
series. So I really am happy. I'm finally relieved that the Boston Celtics did what they were supposed to do, which is win at home because we're better than the team we're playing. So kudos to them. Kudos to
Shout
Tyson
out,
for
shout
kind
out.
of calming my nerves on that one because I was really concerned. But what were your thoughts about the game?
Man, so I do have to do a little quick shout out to the Cavs, man, to the Cavs coach, because it's even when your star players are out, man, if you see the other step up like they did, that's coaching 101, man. I mean, you really got to give a shout out to the coach on this. I mean, Mobley had 33 and Morris had 25, man. So I mean, shout out to them, man, for stepping up. I mean, they put their hearts into that, man. I mean, they gave their absolute everything. So they played with some heart. But on this other side with the Celtics, man, I love how balanced it was all across the board. Like you said, Tatum with 25, Horford with 22, Brown didn't have a great game with 11, but the ball was moving. Everybody was getting touches. But that's what needs to happen moving forward with the Celtics. It
Right.
can't get stuck. A lot of times, man, in previous years, the balls get stuck. You all get stuck on the one-on-one match. Brown take it or Tatum take it. But you notice because of the weapons you all now have, I mean, with White, with Drew Holiday, Porzingis when he comes back, when you all move the ball, it is almost impossible for teams to defend you all because of your ability to shoot on the outside,
Mhm.
all around, all around. So, I mean, with that and your ability to get to the rack with Brown and Tatum, if your team especially aren't able to double team them on the inside, on the interior, and Porzingis is bringing the big man out, you all have the ability to slash to the basket. They can get to the hole better. You don't have a shot blocker out there because they got to go and defend Porzingis. So this is going
Mhm.
to be the key to your success moving forward, man. Really moving that rock. But yo, shout out to my boy Uncle Al, man, because man, this is the first time with 22 points, he joined LeBron and Kareem as the only players 37 years and older to record a 20 point, 15 rebound, 5 assist game, man. So your
Mhm.
boy out here, man, setting records.
Aging fine like wine on certain days.
You
Other
saw
times
how
it'd be
hype his
like a
dad
spoiled
was on the
milk.
sideline too,
Oh
man. I was
yeah,
like,
man.
ah,
He was hyped too. He was definitely super hype
doing
as
this
well.
thing.
Cause when I think what was it? When he knocked down the three at the top of the key,
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
like he was so amped. And I was like,
yeah.
that's the energy that I'm loving to see.
Right,
I
I
wanted to
love it,
make
dog.
a real good point in my mind. Jaylen Brown didn't have to score for the team to do well.
That's a good thing.
11
Hmm.
points. He shot like we made three 3-point attempts.
Hmm.
He had, but he was still solid, two
Still
for four from
effective.
free throw, but he was still like a plus whatever, plus
Yeah,
11, plus
plus
14 or
14.
whatever.
Yeah, he was doing
So
his thing.
that idea that your main stars don't have to score in order to be successful
That
is a
though.
testament to it being a well-built team.
Yes,
It's
yes.
just tapping into those
Hmm.
assets are key going into the Eastern Conference Finals, which we're going to get to in a moment. But
Man,
before we get there, shout out to the Dallas Mavericks for what seems to have been a
man.
nail-biting
Mm,
Game 7
mm,
against the Thunder, winning 117 to 116.
mm.
They're headed to their second Western Conference Finals with Luca. So shout out to them because what a dogfight, Tyson.
To the
What did
bitter
you see?
end. Wow, man. So, I mean, from the get-go, man, I mean, both teams were coming with it, man. I mean, straight dominating. I mean, down to the absolute wire, 116 to 17. I mean, Luca was really doing his thing all around.
Yes.
Um, I mean, distributing the ball. I mean, he was setting the tone early, man. Setting the tone early. This is the most effective Luca has been the entire playoffs, the
Mhm.
entirety of the playoffs. I mean, I guess his knee is feeling a little bit better, man, because he went 9 for
Apparently.
15. 10 rebounds, 10 assists. I mean, this is another triple double for him. But I love how Kyrie stepped up. This dude is now
Yeah.
16 and 0 for
14.
closeout
14
games.
and 0.
14 and 0 for
Yeah, yeah.
closeout games, man. And he stepped up big time, 9 for 23. And remember, we were talking about him last game, like, yo, where's he been? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's been averaging like 9 points for the series, man. But I mean, all around, but I gotta give kudos to the Thunder, man.
Hmm.
Especially Shy. This dude's gonna be a star moving forward, man.
Yeah,
Absolute star. How
hands down.
effective and efficient he's been all playoff long.
Hands
All
down.
playoff. This dude, another 30-point guy, 36 points on
Yeah.
14 of 25. I
Yeah.
mean, absolutely effective. Okay, well, of course, we were talking about the mid range, but his ability to read as well, pass the
Hmm.
ball around. Of course, you got Williams for 22. Holmgren finally stepped up, man, with 21 points, but they really been needing him, man, all series long. He really has been as effective, man. But like I was saying before, Dallas, man, putting up with Gafford, putting that body on him, man, and Lively, it's been hard for him over this summer, man. He's really going to have to hit those weights and get some mass on his body because the way they handle him hasn't been good. How you feeling your end, man?
Derek Jones, that's how I feel on my end.
Ooh,
Derek
yeah.
Jones out there with
Can't believe I left
22
him out,
points.
man.
But again, you have to pick your poison with that team. It's like, who are
Mhm.
you going to guard? If you're going to guard the top three who have been scoring consistently in Luka, Kyrie, and PJ Washington, you're
Yeah.
going to leave some of these guys open and allow
Somebody
them
got to
to
hit.
be able to make a play. But shout out to Derek Jones because when it was time to step up, he stepped up. And you know who also stepped up?
Mm.
Derek Lively off the
Man, how
bench.
effective has he
He had
been?
like 15 rebounds. What an active person on the boards. Chad Holmgren was struggling down there
He's a
trying to get
rookie.
anything.
He's a
Yes, he's a
rookie.
rookie. And he was playing in the most intense parts of the game. He was
They
playing
trusted him.
down the stretch.
They trusted him.
That's what I'm talking about. If you
Yeah,
instill
man.
trust in him, you see
Yeah.
something working, don't stray
Don't,
away from it.
don't,
They say,
don't.
okay, this guy's dominating. This dude's
Yeah.
boxing out. He's active hands. He's going to reach for those boards. He's going to try and attempt the blocks.
Mhm.
That paint dominance that he was showing in that game, I felt was very, very integral to
Yeah.
the Mavericks actually doing or pulling this one out because again, I feel as though weren't they down for I don't know how far down they were, maybe 13 points or something like
Yeah.
that, and they had to march their way back
All the
into
way
the
back, man.
game.
Because they
Shout
beat
out to
him the first.
Luca.
Yeah.
Luca was hooping
He was
because Luca
balling.
was the one that was a part of that whole ordeal, trying to march them down to ensure
Bringing
for
them
this
back.
securing this win. So this was one of those games where I said the Dallas Mavericks are prepared for a dogfight.
Mm.
I thought that they were one of those types of teams where I'm gonna step on you early and then I'm
Mm.
gonna cruise to the end. Or
Yeah.
if you step on us early, we're gonna try rally for a quarter. And if it doesn't work out, hey, so said, so
So
done.
be it.
We'll
Yeah.
try and play the next game.
Mm.
But for them to, try and move from a 17-point deficit in the third to advancing and trying to push it forward, and they were able to win this game.
Shows you
I
their
felt that
resolve.
that's resolve, that's determination, that's
Hmm.
patience, that's trusting your teammates. So, I respect the Dallas Mavericks in this game, but I do see that the young Thunder team, they
They're
have
gonna be
something to
nasty
look
moving forward,
forward
man.
to.
Shoo. They shouldn't hold their heads down at all. They gave their absolute everything, man. And that's tough, who I know is really gonna struggle. SGA is one of the most competitive cats in the NBA. You're not gonna see it in his emotions, but if you pay attention to what the players talk about, especially in practice, you talking about the
Mhm.
most competitive cat out there. I know he's gonna beat himself up over that last foul. And it
Yeah,
was a foul. Let's talk about
it
it, man.
was
Even though the ball
hands
was
down.
released and he got his arm, he shouldn't have taken that risk. But
Yeah,
that goes back to experience, man. That's that
experience.
youth. That's that youth all day, man. And go ahead because PJ was almost double clutching,
Yeah,
so he
PJ
that's
was like two for
It's
five for the whole game.
right.
So
It's like a
let him shoot
7%
it.
chance.
Let him shoot it.
Let him
Like
get
we
that
would,
off.
I'd rather live with those chances than to
I'll
put him
take
on
that
the
all day.
line and be the way that you lose the game.
Yeah.
So I agree
Yeah.
with that.
So for it to
Experience in that case was not in their
nah,
favor,
not at
obviously
all.
in Dallas's favor. But again, they'll learn from that. Unfortunately, Gordon Hayward, he's a do you know Gordon Hayward plays for the Thunder? I don't even
Yo,
know if we
that
aware
though,
of
man,
that.
is sad, man.
It
That's
is.
sad, man.
It is.
That's
It
tough,
is.
man. Like this dude wasn't even in their lineup, by the
No, he
way,
was a
at all,
DNP.
at
He was a
all. Whole
DNP.
whole playoff long.
That
You
is
couldn't even rely
veteran
on him as a
leadership.
shooter in the corner. That's
He's a
tough.
veteran leadership. That's a three and kind of D type of player. I thought that he would have added value to this team, but
I think he
unfortunately
would
that
have.
didn't work.
No. But man, I do want to say, man, I am proud of Jones. He is becoming one of the best two-way players in the game. I mean, that defense, man, that defense he's been showing, man. We talking about lockdown defense, man. So, definitely shout out to him, man. And on offense, he's really improved his three-point shot and his ability to get to the rim.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and that was crucial for this game. I'm loving what I'm seeing from them on
Yeah.
all aspects. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they have in the Western Conference Finals against the
Hmm.
Timberwolves. What a matchup that is going to be, man.
Ooh-wee. I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it.
So transitioning real quick, we're gonna look at the Knicks versus the Pacers. The Pacers, who I had
Mm,
no idea that they were
man.
going to be able to beat the New York Knicks 130 to
I
109,
tried to
taking the
tell you, man.
series and advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals. My goodness, I did not expect that. I want to hear your thoughts on that game, man.
Man, I knew the injuries, man, the exhaustion was going to catch up to him. I love the heart of the Knicks, but there's only so much, man, that your body can really take at the end of the day. And we saw it, man, with unfortunately, Brunson hurting his hand. And Hart, he had an abdominal injury.
Abdominal,
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, yeah.
abdominal strain.
Ab injury.
Yeah,
He had
ab
a
injury.
he had an ab injury, man, last game. So you notice it was noticeable this past game, man, how he was really struggling with it. He wasn't giving that defensive effort or that hustle that he usually gives. I mean, he still had 8 rebounds and 10 points, but it was noticeable. Even OG came back, and we thought that was gonna be the difference maker, but he could only play 5 minutes, man. He was
Yeah,
struggling out there too.
OG was the epitome of struggling.
Man,
He only played for that little stint
it's
because
tough.
it looked like he was unable to literally run. He had
Can
to
you get up the
trot.
court?
He looked
Yeah.
like Jalen Brown when Jalen Brown is lazy and he does this little trot
It's a little
along
try. Yeah.
to where you almost be like, is he injured? That's how
Right, right.
OG
Is he all
Anunoby
right?
looked at his best
Yeah.
because of this hamstring injury. So it was so unfortunate. And you know that Jalen
Mm,
Brunson fractured his hand
hmm.
on that reach in on Tyrese Halliburton on the
Yeah.
fast break.
Yeah, it's
And he was
tough.
out for the entire game after that, which was a huge blow. I don't even know if
That
the
did it right
bench
there.
recognized that, not the bench, I'm sorry, the fans recognized that Brunson was out in its entirety
Mm,
until obviously, I'm sure, the scuttlebutt around the conversation eventually came back to say, this dude is out
right.
for good for
Yeah,
the rest of
man.
the
I
time.
know that one
So,
hurt. That was tough. That
oh,
was tough.
that was tough. But
Yeah.
I gotta actually give it to the Indiana Pacers. I can't even give this to New York Knicks losing this game either
Uh,
because the Indiana
Came out
Pacers
strong.
shot what 67%,
Overall,
67.1%
man, for the game.
overall.
I mean, they started off strong, man. Like Siakam came out strong the first quarter, man, with 11 points, 5 for 5 shooting.
Dude,
So, I,
that's absolutely ridiculous. When you
yeah,
go in 13 to 24 from three-pointers, if you're doing like, they got like 70% shooting in a quarter.
it's,
I felt as though
it's
there's
hard to
no way
stop
that they
that.
were going to lose. You're not going to lose that. You're putting up
No,
130 points, Tyson.
no,
So if you're going to put up 130 points, there's no way that I'm expecting you to lose that game.
you can't, man.
And I felt as though my key to this game, for me, TJ Ma, I don't know how to say his last name. Is it
Cano,
McConnell? With the two
Cano,
N's. I don't want to say it with one N.
yeah.
TJ
That boy, man,
McConnell.
he's
Dude,
consistency, epitome of it.
he pressed Brunson full court
Full
the
court.
entirety of the game.
Yep.
He did not for 1 second back off from that.
Mm-mm.
He pressed him. He fought over the screens. He didn't
Tire him
go
out.
under the screens. You can't go
Tire him
under the
out.
screens on Jalen Brunson. He went over those screens. He was putting him in those positions where he said, I'm not going to let you go to your left.
Nah,
If that's your
we're gonna
strong and
force you right
dominant hand,
all
I'm
day.
going to force you right.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, he had a Peyton Pritchard game where he's going downhill. He's able to actually shoot very well around the
He's
basket.
crafty, man.
I
That
feel
dude's
as
so
though he's like
crafty.
80+% around the basket once he
Real
gets
talk.
down there.
Yeah.
So TJ McConnell, I felt was the key to this
Difference
game,
maker.
key
Difference
to this
maker.
game,
Yeah.
hands
Yeah.
down. And then of course my man Aaron Neesmith, who's a former Boston Celtic. I think he went eight
Yes.
for eight for the whole game.
He wasn't doing
And
this with y'all.
he wasn't even on the court to even have a chance to do this, but this guy ended up with 19 points, eight
Yeah.
for eight. He shot 100% in the
100%,
game.
man.
So how
100%.
much more do you want?
What can you do with that?
You got enough defense
Hmm.
and gameplay from your bench. You
Yeah.
got enough offensive firepower from your starters, and hey, it was just a blowout after that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton was chirping the entire time.
Of course he was, man. Dude always chirps when he's up. I don't hear the chirping though when he's down. Like
No.
that's when I really want to hear it. Like you really about that life? All right,
Yeah.
come when you up.
That's
But
Anthony Edwards. Anthony
right.
Edwards gonna chirp regardless.
We
He's like, oh, I'm
we
gonna
coming
see
back
you
for game 7 now.
for
Told
sure.
the staff.
Oh, for sure. And then
Yeah,
came back and went. So yeah, he was kind of front runner with that idea. But Tyrese Halliburton, he also had a good game
he did.
as
Shout out
well.
to him.
26 points, 6 for 12, shooting
He's been
50% from three.
aggressive. That's the difference maker with the Pacers. He has to be aggressive, man, to open up the lanes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, man, if he's not aggressive, it doesn't get the other players shots, and you're not making the defense stay disciplined at all.
Yes.
You know,
Keep
he
him
has to attack the
honest.
rock. Keep him honest, man. Keep him honest all day.
I do love their movement. Pacers, when they move the ball, are some of the best to ever do it. I think they're number one in
Hmm.
offensive efficiency, or
Yeah. You got
they,
so many
the way that
weapons.
they move, they give them options always.
Yeah.
You're not going to look for Miles Turner necessarily to be the one to score down low, but
Nah.
he's going to get that open three because
Yeah.
of the way that they're moving. These ram screens and baseline this and floppy this, and they're
Hmm.
doing all of these offensive schemes to get people open, and they're constantly moving
Hmm.
as opposed to just four out to just basically watching the ball on an
Right.
ISO play. So
Right.
I really enjoy seeing Tyrese do. I think he did like a pick and pop. He came off a screen from the baseline, came all the
Hmm.
way up. I don't even think he took a dribble doing his best Klay Thompson impression. I was really loving how they were moving, being
Yeah,
active, and
yeah.
I
That's
think that was
important.
what they did in this game. DiVincenzo, my man,
Man, he
39 points.
showed out
He
again.
tried
Hey,
his best. He tried his best. I think he had like nine threes in that game. And it just wasn't enough. You didn't have
mm-mm.
anyone.
Yeah.
Who else was
Who else
going
still
to
gonna back him
score
up?
for you?
Who else gonna back him
McBride?
up?
Oh,
Right.
your boy, talk about him. Alex Burks.
Yes, yes, yes. My boy Burks, man. Hey, but this goes to show too, man, at the end of the day. Like your next man back, because Burks didn't even play the first series really at
Right.
all. And the Knicks were struggling with their bench that whole series. But now all of a sudden, Burks steps up, gave you 26.
Yeah.
26. But he's been efficient all series long. But
Yes.
I believe really moving forward. I mean, this dude could make a case next year, man, for almost six
Yeah.
man a year if he doesn't even maybe get on the starting lineup. I think maybe coming off the bench, he'll definitely give you those buckets. But he's really showed out, man. He's working for that check, man. But now you see, man, what could have really happened. You didn't need to put all of the pressure, all of those minutes on your starters because you
Yes.
got Burks at the end of the day. And I think that would have prevented a lot of aches, pains, exhaustion if you would have utilized him more.
Hit the nail on the head, Tyson.
Mm,
I've been saying it over and repeatedly that Tibbs runs his team ragged.
man,
And so when he does that, you're going to put yourself in situations where you're going to get injured possibly.
yep.
And unfortunately, we saw it at the biggest stage that because you were injured, because you were playing 46 minutes a game on average, things are going to happen. And you
Hmm.
didn't have any rest and recovery time. So
Nope.
sorry to the Knicks. I guess maybe next season. I don't think they have much that they have to change. I feel as though their team is pretty strong. Julius Randle will come back on
Well, they,
top
they
of
got
that.
they got a big decision to make with that, man. What real quick, what are your thoughts on Randall?
They don't need him. If
There
I'm
you
being
go.
honest, they don't
There you
need
go.
him. I
There you
feel as
go.
though I've said it before, their offensive flow is more cohesive absent of Julius Randle than
Hmm.
it is with him in the lineup. That's just my personal opinion on it. But if they can trade him for either picks. I've heard
Yep.
some rumors about Donovan Mitchell possibly stepping into the New York Knicks
Hmm.
lineup next year. If that's a possibility, they can have him as an asset to trade away for that as well, along with some other, they need more than just Randall. But I don't think they need him. I
They
really
don't.
don't.
They don't,
Add
man.
to the team absent of him, and I'm sure they'll get back here. And if they're injury free, I'm sure they can
They'll
actually
be all
get to
right.
the Eastern Conference
They,
Finals.
they'll be all right. I think, man, they because Hartenstein, man, has showed like he can be a starter all day. But you got people like Robinson, man. You already got Robinson as one of your
Right.
bigs. I think all they need is like a two-way forward. Like somebody like Siakam. Can you imagine Siakam rolling off, man, with Brunson? I think, man, like somebody who's really gonna give you that heart, man, moving forward, man, play both sides of the ball, somebody who could run with the Knicks. I think that's what you need. Randall, man, the flow, you could tell the extreme difference of the flow of the game with the Knicks, especially offensively when Randall is out there. The Knicks were a lot more efficient with moving the ball without Randall because when you give it
Right.
to Randall, it goes into a black hole. He's terrible at passing.
Yeah.
His assist numbers are garbage. On defense, man, you've never known him to lock down anybody.
No, no.
So I think they got a big decision to make with him.
That's a real good one in the off season to see
Mm,
what they can explore with him for sure. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. But for now, we're now finally into the conference final series
about that
for
time.
both the East and the West.
Yeah,
The
man.
Pacers are going to be matched up against the Boston Celtics in the East,
How you
and
feel
then the
about it?
Dallas Mavericks and the Minnesota Timberwolves in the West. How I feel about the East. This is coming down to predictions. I feel as though Celtics in six.
I
Um,
bet, bet,
Celtics
bet.
in six. I don't have any worry about us getting to the finals this year.
You
The
said that with
path has
confidence.
been laid for us
Yeah.
through injuries, through
Hmm.
just people just falling in different slots throughout the year, and us maintaining that number one seed in the league. I
Hmm.
felt as though we had the easiest of paths in comparison to those guys getting beat up left and right in the
Yeah.
West. Sure, that's constantly the narrative, but we were going to get it regardless because I felt as though we had the better team in the
Hmm.
East. So I think it's going to be the Celtics in six. I do see them taking two games, the Indiana Pacers, that is, because of their offensive power
Hmm.
and then our lack of focus on defense or offense sometimes on the Celtics end. But I don't see it going any further than that. If they do it earlier, great. We can sit back and kind of analyze the other teams in the West, but we should win in six. What
Hmm.
about you?
Man, so I got Celtics. So I say 5 or 6. So the Celtics need to be consistent on the defense. What I
Yes.
believe they need to do, because the Celtics, I mean, the Pacers offense gets flowing when Halliburton goes around screens and the big man pulls back towards the basket and the defender goes over the top. That right there sets the tone for the Pacers because then you got the other man rolling. You got Halliburton
Mhm.
who's maybe able to step back for a three or go in, push it out. He's
Mhm.
great at finding the right reads. With the Celtics, because of you all size and length, you all just need to switch everything.
Hmm.
because Halliburton, he's not a one-on-one player.
Yeah.
He's not going to break somebody down really. He's effective on the pick and rolls. So if
Hmm.
you all switch everything and leave it like that consistently, I think you all can knock this out in five personally.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would feel as though ideally this is a 5 game series, but
Hmm.
my cynicism will always get the best of me. So I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna make it put it to 6. But I think that kind of a pretty strong and confident thing there. But I'm out
Yeah.
west. I'm not confident in who I think is gonna win. Who do
Man, it's gonna
you
be
have in the
whew.
West
Man,
in
so
this
you all
series
right. You
against
already
the
know I'm
Mavs
rolling
and the
with my
Timberwolves?
Timberwolves. I'm already
Okay.
rolling with my Timberwolves, man. I say Timberwolves in six, but it's gonna be a matchup, man, because we already know what Jones can do on defense, and they're
Timberwolves
gonna
in
put
6.
Jones. Yeah, they're gonna
Okay,
put
okay,
Jones
okay.
on Edwards. That's gonna be a match to watch
Okay.
because Jones is extremely effective on defense, and he has length on Edwards.
Hmm.
Um, I think, man, on the defensive side, man, most likely they're gonna put this is the great thing about the Timberwolves matchups against the Mavs. With Doncic, you always are going to have size on Doncic.
Hmm.
Wherever you switch, you're going to have size. Now they're going to try and make the Gobert switch a lot of times and pull Gobert out. But I think instead of that, they're going to go over the screens, let Gobert pull it down, and then like Edwards or them going to come over the top. And then I think the weak side has to box whoever's rolling. Most likely is
Hmm.
going to be um Gafford rolling. Weak side has to just box him out. If they just stick with that game plan, man, they just have to stay consistent, man. And I think that's all around consistent when it comes to defensive edge. And on the offensive side, man, I don't. It's gonna be tough, man, because Catman is always gonna have a mismatch. Now, Reed most likely gonna have a mismatch. One thing I forgot to mention before, Cat, shout out to Cat for not just his effectiveness and aggressiveness this past game, but also his defense on Jokic was absolutely amazing.
It was.
That doesn't
It
even get
was.
talked about. Gobert, by the way, man, dropped the ball when it came to Jokic. Every time they switch Jokic on Gobert, he went at Gobert every single time.
Hmm.
Every single time. When he switched with Cat, Cat was holding his own. Cat was entirely holding his own. So a shout out to Cat, man, for his
Yeah.
effectiveness on defense because that's not what he's known for. He's
Hmm.
really stepped his game up. I don't know if that's the Gobert effect because Gobert really wasn't effective, man, that much on defense on Jokic. But shout out to Cat for that, man. If he brings that into the next series, the Mavs really gonna struggle.
Okay. I think I'm going to echo most of your sentiments. I do think it's going to be the Timberwolves.
Mm,
I think it's going to be in 7 games.
mm,
They're really not that different of a team from the offensive perspective, about 108 Timberwolves, 106.5 points a game,
mm.
Mavs. I feel as though they have offensive firepower,
Yeah.
more of it in Mavs, that is, in Luke and Kyrie. I
Mm.
really do believe that that is their offensive firepower, and Kyrie, when focused, is unstoppable.
Most definitely.
But the defense, I think, is what's going to lead this
Yes,
game.
sir. And the length.
And
Yeah.
the Minnesota Timberwolves have the ability to lock you up
Hmm.
more than the Dallas Mavericks have that ability. And because of that, I think that's why the Timberwolves are going to win this series. But I do think it's going to come down to a 7 game series again. Um, but I do see Timberwolves pulling this out.
Mm.
Luke is going to do a lot of complaining.
Oh yeah.
Kyrie's going to probably carry a lot of the bulk of this game. You're going to have Derek and PJ trying to step their game
Hmm.
up. They're probably going to actually put a man in there, Derek Lively,
Oh yeah.
because
Oh
they
yeah.
have to play some bigs,
Got to.
more bigs against Cat and Gobert, and they see
Most
what
definitely.
Lively did last series. So
Hmm.
this should be a really fun
It's gonna be
matchup.
great. It's
I
gonna
think
be
a lot
great.
of trash talk is going to happen on both sides of the court. PJ
Hmm.
Washington's going to hit them with the folded arms at some point. This is going to be a really, really fun one. I am so excited to see this
Hype.
series
I'm
play
hype.
out.
I'm hype.
More than any other series that I've seen.
It's gonna be off
This
the
is
chain
it
right here,
right
man. This
here.
is it, man. I can't wait to see, man, especially them going at it, man.
Yeah.
Kyrie going at it, man. I think Edwards coming down, going at it all around. I can't wait to see, especially this different strategies that they institute on both sides of the ball, man. Really
Yes.
looking forward to seeing that, man. How they effectively use down low game, man. I'm gonna need
Mhm.
Gobert, man, to it's where the Timberwolves struggle, especially when he's out there, man, is that low post, man, trusting
Mhm.
him offensively. Now, he did step up last game, man, making some good for clutch free throws, man. Going down, he was a little bit more aggressive. You see, they started hitting him on the cuts to the basket.
Yeah.
Now, it always looks like he's about to lose the ball when he
Yeah.
starts to dribble, going to the basket. It looks incredibly awkward, but, shout out to him, man, for at least drawing the foul. So,
Yeah, and knocking down the free throws.
and
If you
knocking
go
down the
seven
free
for
throws.
nine, that's better than a Jalen Brown t attempt at the line. So
Yeah.
you're shooting at a high clip in those games that is needed. But
Hmm.
they're obviously going to go to that more often than not. They're going to try and foul him because he does struggle from the free throw
Yeah.
line. But if you're hitting it when it counts, then you have no other defensive scheme at that
Right.
point other
Right.
than to try and match up as best as possible. But this is, again, going to be a really, really, really good series.
All around,
That
man.
series starts, I know that the
Wednesday,
Pacers and the Celtics start Tuesday.
Tuesday, and the Mavs
So
is Wednesday. Mavs versus
Mavs
Timberwolves
and the
Wednesday, man.
Timberwolves will start Wednesday. So it's
Yeah.
going to be an
Yeah.
exciting time. We're going to be locked in. We're going to be tuned in because our favorite teams are actually playing in the conference finals on both sides. So this is going to be a
We're
good
gonna have to get
time.
some jerseys, man. We're gonna have to write some jerseys, man. Real
Oh
talk,
yeah,
man.
something.
Yeah, yeah,
I got my Garnett
yeah.
jersey
I already
ready,
know.
which is, that's
Positive.
bi-coastal because he was with the Timberwolves before he went to the Celtics. So if
That's
I wear a
true. You got to
Garnett,
get both, man.
oh, I got Bo Tyson. Gotta go, bro.
Already. My
You know,
fault for
that's my
questioning,
favorite player
man.
of
I
all
didn't
time.
understand.
So that's who I got his stuff for sure. But that'll do it for us for the Clutch Buckets podcast
Yes,
today.
sir.
Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, share, and of course, hit that subscribe button. My name is Kyle,
I'm Josh Tyson.
and we out.
Appreciate
Peace.
y'all.